Hey, this is Clay Smeltzer from the Infused Brotherhood. If you really want to learn how to level up your life, you should be listening to the Time to Shine Today podcast with my good friend Scott Ferguson. Let's level up right now.
Time to Shine Today podcast, Varsity Squad. This is Scott Ferguson, episode 311, with my brother from another mother, one of the founders of the Infused Brotherhood, my friend Clay Smeltzer. And Clay's a podcaster, a coach, a consultant, a speaker. He's just an absolute rock star, and I am just crazy blessed to be in contact with Clay. And we have so many things on our docket to be able to do together. But I want to bring you this episode because if you have a digital note taker or a notebook, make sure you take some notes because the knowledge nuggets that Clay drops are just above reproach. And I'm not going to say too much more, and just hop into this interview. So again, here's my really good friend, Clay Smeltzer from the Infused Brotherhood. Let's level up. Time to Shine Today podcast, Varsity Squad. This is Scott Ferguson, and I got my boy from PA out there in Pennsylvania that was referred to me by the fantabulous, gorgeous, phenomenal Deanna Quimple. And she's like, you have to get Clay Smeltzer on your podcast. And so I'm like, okay. So I went and reviewed some of his stuff, and it was just blown away. And I can't wait to collaborate with this cat, moving forward, coaching and just getting, sharing some stages and get people leveled up. And Clay is the founder of the Infused Brotherhood, which we'll put it in the show notes. Don't go there now, but his podcast rocks also, but that will be in the show notes. And with the Brotherhood, they bring men together to build, battle, and bond so they can be the best versions of themselves for them, their families, their careers, and their communities. And I'm so stoked to bring Clay on. And Clay, if you don't mind, please introduce yourself to Time to Shine Today podcast, Varsity Squad. But first, what's your favorite color and why?
I got two, red and black. It's the Warrior colors.
Yeah. Awesome, dude.
I got red and black.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Kind of my flavors of Johnny Walker every once in a while too.
Hey, not the blue.
Oh, that blue is my go-to, and it's funny. I have clients that ask me, and they actually send me bottles of blue, and I'm not complaining to anybody out there that are my clients that send it, but I have like 4 of them sitting here. Yes, so it goes down smooth and buttery, that's for sure. But Clay, let's get to the origins, man. Where did you kind of start in really getting into helping men level up?
I got into helping men really reveal, build, and live with purpose because I was not. And at 35 years, I'm 41 right now. At 35 years old, I was sitting on my couch over here having a panic attack over a TV show. My wife was sleeping next to me, and it was a point in my life where I was like, this is not what my life was supposed to be. I think we get into that time in our lives where we become the responsible man, and I'm going to put that in air quotes there. And that responsible man is taking care of business, doing the things around the house, paying the bills, going to work, having a career, taking care of your kids, doing all that stuff. But all of a sudden, we look back and we lost who we were. We lost who we are. And for me, I was being everything for everybody else, and I was being nothing for myself.
Wow.
And that's where the point of something had to change. And I think as men is, and I think women do it a lot too, but I'm into the realm of men, is when men, we are providers and protectors, and we will literally sacrifice ourselves all the time for everybody else.
Yeah.
And that's not a good thing, because when we sacrifice ourselves, and think about yourself as a cup, when you continually deplete your cup, you're always depleted. Right. What we want to do is we want to teach men how to overflow their cup. So you're not putting in my cup, and you're not taking out of your cup. Anybody can drink from the overflow.
Right.
And you can drink as much overflow as you want. But what we were taught is to deplete, give, deplete, and not take care of ourselves first. But you come first.
Yeah, I love that you say that, because especially our temples, our bodies, right? It's like
Absolutely.
We have to take care of us, one, and it's selfish. But if you go to Webster's dictionary, whatever you go to, Wikipedia, selfish it's not a negative term in the dictionary. It's taking care of yourself so you can take care of others, right?
Yep.
Can we agree on that one?
Absolutely.
That's
and
awesome.
And I heard this, I was in business a long time ago, and the leadership team of that business said, one of the guys said, you have to be selfish in order to be selfless. And at that point in time in my life, I was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, that's a great saying, but I have no clue. And then when I went through that panic attack, when I went through and I started building myself and revealing my purpose, that's when I'm like, the light bulb went off and I'm like, oh man, okay, now I get it. Because if I don't put me first, if I don't love me first, how can I love my wife and my kids the way they deserve to be loved? If I don't take care of me first, how can I take care of my wife and my family first, and our brothers in the brotherhood and impact men? If I can't do that first, how can I do that for somebody else? It just doesn't work like that.
There's an old cliche when you're trying to meet your forever girl or whatever, you can't love them if you can't love yourself, which is freaking true. But that true. Like goes in one ear and out the other. So with really loving yourself, or you're on that couch with anxiety and whatnot, like how did you, like, what was that switch that flipped that said, and what was your first step really of going down the journey of self-improvement, if you will?
The flip was I was tired of it. Like I spent 15 years of my life not telling people about anxiety, how much I had it and how much I dealt with it, because I was a man. I was the man up, and I was tough, and I was raw. Right. That dude. I was trying to be that dude. And the problem is I wasn't reaching out. I was trying to be a tough guy. And the more was a tough guy, the more I actually was insecure about my emotional state.
They hide behind that facade, dude.
And my shadow was over here, and I was faking everybody else out. I was faking myself out.
Right.
And honestly, up until that point, I didn't want to deal with it. That's the whole point. Like I knew it was there.
Right.
I knew I had a shadow. I knew I dealt with it. I tried to kick it out and get rid of it. I tried to get rid of all the things I hated about myself. And the problem was I was lying, because they're a part of me and I've actually used them for good. And the more I tried to kick it out, the more it kicked back. And that point on the couch, that panic attack, was my end point to say, this has to change. Wow. And looking at my wife and my kids sleeping upstairs, and I'm like, this can't continue.
Right.
And so I think men change for two reasons. One, or anybody changes for two reasons. One, there's this golden carrot out in front of you that's so great. And number two, the crap hits the fan. And for me, it was the second one. And that's where it's like, this had to change. And that's where the first step was to actually talk and share. Wow. Because when you're going through mental health, you're dealing with mental health, you're dealing with things, you're dealing with your shadow. And I'm pointing over here on my back because your shadow is that dark space you don't want to go, that you don't like about yourself. When you're dealing with that, the only way to step into it is actually talk about it. So I finally said something to my wife about how much I was feeling anxiety, how it was just overtaking. It was literally control. I allowed it to control my life.
Right.
And I finally talked to her, and she's like, I don't know what to do, but I'm here for you. Wow. And I said, no, wait, you don't think I'm less than? And she's like, why would I? She's like, because I do.
Right.
And there was the point of me not saying anything. I was ashamed of myself for the anxiety that I had, that I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know how to fix it as a man, because I was ashamed and I felt less than myself. The two greatest questions every person has and every man has is, am I good enough? And do I have what it takes? I could not answer yes and yes to those two questions at that point in my life.
And it's so tough, us being raised. I mean, I'm a little bit older. I'm 50, you're 41. And we were raised with, kids, a lot of kids these days, including, my goddaughter, they got timeout, right? We got knockout, right? As boys, right?
I got whatever's on the kitchen counter.
Yeah, dude, it's it, man. And squad, if you're watching this, I mean, this dude's pretty well put together. I'd probably think twice before tangling with him. But like, for him to be vulnerable and really put that out there is essential and key to start that healing process, in a sense. And also, we don't do anything until we are absolutely fed up with it, right? And it's like, that's it. And like, I love that you went to your wife and asked for support there, and she gave it to you. And then you really kind of got your asking gear, right? You asked around and how that you can
absolutely
really level up. That's awesome, man. So you move forward a little bit, you're kind of going through that awesome path. The shadow's getting a little lighter, if you will. Like, what really brought you into helping others?
For me, I will be always grateful for James, is that he asked me if I could help him because he saw what I was changing. Wow. And I was like, so the Brotherhood was not in my mind. Building a community of men to reveal, build, and live with purpose was not in my mind. coaching men on revealing their purpose was not in my mind. None of that was in my mind until James came along and said, "Hey, I see how you're changing. I'm going through something, and can you help me?" And I was like, "Sure." I don't know what I'm going to do, and what I did is I walked him through the process I went through. And from there, it just kind of expanded. And from there, I realized that there are so many men in this world that don't have a space in place, that they feel supported, they feel cared for, they feel heard, they feel respected, and where they can develop the tools that they can put in their tool belt in order for them to be their best self for them, for their spouse, for their kids, for their career, for their communities. It's like, we don't have that space to be able to talk about that. We got a lot of spaces that are like, let's go. But we don't have spaces like, dude, we need to actually have the conversations that we need to have. We need to talk about the stuff you really don't want to talk about. And that's what we do in the Brotherhood is we provide that space for those conversations, for those discussions, but also for the tools for you to be able to reveal, build, and live your purpose.
That's awesome. And again, a lot of it, you have to be vulnerable to be able to go through this. And do you coach people one-on-one or in groups mainly?
Both.
Okay.
So we do both. Yeah.
Okay. So if you maybe a discovery period, maybe a one-on-one discovery period, you have that first chat to make sure you're the right horse for the course for them. Is there any secret sauce you could share with our listeners, our squad, that maybe helps them find their blind spot so you know where to start from?
For me, their blind spot is always, they come to me because they want to know what their purpose is. Yeah. Why am I here on this earth? And that's their blind spot because they don't know.
Wow.
And that's we want to know. And here's what I want everybody to remember is that when you're searching for your purpose is also searching for you.
Wow.
And what I'm here to do is, because of what I went through, I just have the ability to reveal that for you. And I say reveal, and I don't say find, because a lot of people say, well, I want to find my purpose. No. It's reveal. It's always been in you. It's always been with you. You have literally made decisions in your entire life because of your purpose. And it comes down usually to 2 to 3 things. And what I do is I walk people through a process that allows us to go back in time, to be in the present, and then afterwards look into the future to say, hey, who was I? Where did I show up? How did I show up? What are the things in my life and why? Because it really comes back to why. Every decision that you've made, Scott, and every listener here, every decision that you've made in your entire life, there's a reason why you've made it. And that's the biggest thing, because a lot of people, well, purpose is what you do. No. Yeah. Purpose is who you are. And why you do what you do is your purpose, not what you do.
Wow.
Your purpose will just show up in it.
That's awesome. I love that you said that the purpose is searching for you as well. You just people aren't. Our brains were using like 16% of our brains. It's actually there. So and I love that you made the analogy of I with my coaching clients, it's sitting in a car. You have the rear view mirror that's really small, the big dashboard that you can see out forward. But really, it's important is that present time, because so many people, they have a foot in the past, a foot in the future, and they piss all over the present, right?
I love that saying. That's one of my favorite sayings.
And it's so true. And I love that you dig in with them and get that purpose and have them level up. So while you're maybe still in this discovery period, Clay, is there any good question that you wish they would ask you but never do?
Good question to ask me. I think because, I don't know, just because I get the questions during that time. I get the questions that they always wanted to ask, but never have before, because we have those discussions to go into it. And I'm not easy on it. And that's one of the things I say. I'm like, listen, this isn't going to be an easy path. And I'm going to ask you the questions you don't want to ask.
Yeah.
And
love it, man.
And so, I mean, cause I'm an open book, because I was so afraid to expose myself, the real Clay Smeltzer, in order to be free and have that freedom of self and have that freedom of purpose and just live as me no matter where I'm at, is that, and who I'm with, is like, I had to expose everything. So
with that freedom of purpose, I
honestly don't know what question it would be.
No, that's fine. I would ask possibly, what you're going to expect of me during this time. What am I going to expect on this journey? But it's a hard question to answer, and that's why I throw it at my interviewees. But you handled it like freaking awesome, dude.
Well, thank you.
With kind of going through this journey that you went through, because you're walking the path that you're taking them through with their shadow.
Right.
How often do you maybe feel like an imposter right now? Because because there's always that pullback, we're men, you know what I'm saying? We're always reminded, that primal reminder of us. So like, do you ever feel like an imposter? And if so, and it's okay to say no, but if so, how do you overcome that?
Well, I definitely used to. Okay. And I used to feel that way because it came down to value. People want value and usability. So I'm walking somebody through a process that I didn't know if it was valuable to them. And what I was trying to do is say the value that I'm bringing to the picture and to this world, my purpose, the value of my purpose, I was trying to get other people to validate that. But the problem is other people can't validate that. They can show up and say, just think about yourself as an apple tree. People can show up and be like, "Ooh, it's an apple tree," and take an apple and be like, "Ooh," and eat that apple and be like, "Wow, that is delicious. That is an awesome apple." But it doesn't validate that the apple tree is an apple tree and produces great apples. All it does is it confirms that your apples are delicious. The apple tree actually has to say, "Hey, my apples are delicious." So for me,
that analogy, dude.
For me, I had to realize and how I overcame that obstacle of saying, "Hey, what value do I bring to the world?" Because that's purpose. When we reveal our purpose, we have to actually understand and believe that our purpose creates value in this world. I actually had to do that for myself. And it didn't come from other people. And I tried to get it to come from other people. As I work with them, I walk through this process. But really, the results that they get are not a validation. They are a confirmation that the value I bring to this world is freaking awesome. And I believe that now because I had to believe it in myself, that the value that I'm bringing. When I talk about purpose, man, and how do I validate, dude, I'm passionate about what I do.
Sure.
And same thing with you. That's why I love the Time to Shine podcast, because man, if you listen to the Time to Shine podcast and you're not excited afterwards, something's wrong with you. Like,
thanks. Huge compliment, man.
Something definitely wrong. So
I really appreciate that. So then what makes a great coach?
Relationships. It's always that.
Love it.
It's always a relationship. Just like I'm a teacher as well. So I teach 7th grade math in Pennsylvania here, but teaching is all about the relationships.
Yeah. Relationships. Communication. Phenomenal.
Anytime you serve somebody else, it's always about building that relationship. Do they trust, like, and respect you?
Love it.
People don't care what you know until they know that you care.
Exactly.
As well.
I love it.
And if they know that I care, they know that I'm actually here for them. So that way I can have a hard concept. So when you say, "Hey, I want to be a great dad," I can say why. And then you can give me an answer and I can go, "Well, why?"
Right.
Because, that's like one thing with purpose. People are like, "Well, what's your purpose?" If I ask you, right, "Well, I want to be a great coach," or "I want to be a great dad." Okay. Well, why do you want to be a great dad?
Right.
I don't know. Because I want to be a great dad. Well, what's that mean?
Right. What's that mean to you? Love it.
Because it's not being the dad. It's not what you do. It's who you are. That's your purpose.
Right. Love it. Love it. And I love that again, it's just standing out to me so much about the purpose of searching for you too. Man, that's fantastic. I'm going to start using a little bit of that in my coaching as well. My clients. Thank you.
Take it.
Have you seen the movie Back to the Future?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love it, man.
Yes, we're
my favorite one's the Western one, whichever one that
the
was.
3.
Yeah.
But let's get in that DeLorean with Marty McFly. Let's go back. Say you're 41. Let's go back to the Double Deuce, the 22-year-old Clay. All right. Is there, with what you know now, is there any good knowledge nuggets, as we call them here at Time to Shine today, that you might drop on him to maybe not so much change anything, Clay, because your journey is your journey, but to maybe help him shorten his learning curve, blast through and level up maybe just a little bit quicker?
Stop lying to yourself.
Oh, yeah. Honest. Love it. Love it.
Because when you lie to yourself, you're lying to everybody else. And that's what I did. That's what I did for a long time. That was 2022 was, 21 was the start of where anxiety kicked into my life. Prior to it, I didn't realize it, but the anxiety, the reason why I was so good on the baseball field and the football field is because I used anxiety and I used my ADHD to actually perform well. So when somebody said, "Hey, Clay, we got two outs, bases are loaded. We need this out to win the game. Hey, you need to come in and pitch and get this guy out." I'm like, "Dude, that's it. It's on. Let's go.
Right.
I got it. Let's do this thing." And I'm like, yeah. Now, hey, you're watching a TV show. and then the same chemicals release into my body. I'm like, what the is going
Yeah,
on here?
Yeah.
And it's like, I didn't understand that piece. And until I dove into who I was and realized what's happening in my body, but also what's happening in my environment and what's happening with my purpose, like those three combined plus gratitude. When you throw gratitude in there, man, it makes everything better.
I love that you brought up gratitude. I was going to ask you that a little bit later, but I make each one of my clients eat a gratitude sandwich daily. And the way it is the first line, which is the bread, you set your intentions for the day. The second thing that you're going to type up or jot down is what you're worried about in the day. And then I make them put 14 things they're grateful for below that. And those 14 things, along with your intentions, squeezes out. That's their sandwich, kind of squeezes out the worries if you follow and be gratitude. I love that, man. So
let me jump in there real quick.
Yeah.
Intention is your purpose for the day.
Right.
Your worries get depleted because you have intention and purpose in your day.
Right.
And the gratitude just enhances everything in your life. I always say this: you want to change your life drastically, do two things: reveal your purpose and practice gratitude. Those two things will absolutely change your life.
So reveal your purpose and practice gratitude.
Practice gratitude. You don't believe me, and I'll challenge everyone. You don't believe me? Go challenge Scott and I to say, now I'm going to prove you wrong, and then let us talk to you in a month.
It can never happen, because if you start writing down things you're grateful for, I don't care if it's if it's your dog or the weather outside, it's still, you can't feel bad when you're feeling grateful. It's just, the chemicals in your body physiologically won't let you. I love that you said that. So Clay, how do you want your dash remembered? That little line in between your incarnation date, your expiration date, your life date, and your death date, which hopefully it's way down the line. But how do you want Clay's dash remembered?
When this is actually one of my questions in our questionnaire for the Purpose Revealer program, the 101 program I do. And for me, when people are at my funeral and they're talking about me, they're going to tell that, hey man, Clay, dude, he owned himself, he loved his story, and he lived with purpose every single day.
Wow, that's enough said. You can't get much better than that, period.
So that is my purpose.
So does anything keep you up at night?
The anxiety, and I had to switch that because I was going to say my anxiety, false. The anxiety that occurs in me, is trying to take ownership of something that gives too much power to it. But the anxiety that I have, that sometimes still gets me when, like, with travel, new things and traveling, and deal with that. So it's not that anxiety has gone away that I've kicked out, because it's never going to.
You don't want it to.
No, because we can use it, in good ways. It's just I'm working through a lot of those things that are from my past that keep creeping into the present, and making sure that, hey, I'm staying present focused, intention focused, purpose focused, and enjoying life and through those. But there's still struggles,
Absolutely.
There's struggles that come up.
I love the struggles too. Yeah.
My family, man, you know what I mean? You always worry about your family. So
yeah, absolutely. So how about, what do you think people misunderstand about you the most?
I think a lot, and I think this happened in sports too, is that my confidence in who I am is arrogance.
Right. It can come across as that, especially, but they don't see what's going on behind the scenes while you're grinding. You know what I'm saying? And it can come across, but you have to have the confidence. That's why I give most of the cops in the world a pass. It's like, because they can kind of come across, but bro, you need them to have that. So yeah. I love that you're transparent about that. So then what is your definition of a life well lived?
Is living with purpose.
Love it. I knew you were going to say that. I just had to ask it. It's one of my canned questions, and it's one to. I knew you were going to say. I love it. I love that, man. Time to shine today, podcast Varsity Squad. We are back, and Clay, we're going to get you down to Florida this next winter, man, to rock some stages. We'll talk about each one of these questions over a brain grenade or a Kool-Aid or something.
Yeah.
Man. But you got 5 seconds to answer them today.
Perfect.
With no
this is great
explanations. You ready to level up, brother?
I'm ready. Hot seat, ready? Let's go.
Do this. All right, man. It is the bottom of the ninth. 2 on, 2 out.
Game time.
Get this guy, bro.
Let's go.
All right. So, Clay, what is the best leveling up advice you've ever received?
Reveal your purpose.
Love it. Share one of your habits that contributes to your success.
Practice visualization.
Love it. Love it. So you see me walking down the street, man, like Fergie, man, he looks like in his doldrums a little bit. What book might you hand me?
Outwitting the Devil.
Yeah, it's actually no one's ever said, but that is a great read, man. So what's your most commonly used emoji when you text?
This one, rock on.
I love it. So, and don't lie to me on this one, my friend, because you're an athlete, but if you could stay one age physically for the rest of your life, keep the knowledge you've garnered and continue to gain wisdom physically, what age would you stay for the rest of your life?
I would say right now.
Really? Okay. Actually,
I'm in the best shape of my life, man.
40s is good. I would take 28 to 32 anytime. So in your nickname, what was your nickname growing up?
Man, I had a lot. Smeltzer. That was probably one.
Okay.
So
I love it. I love it. So chess, checkers, or Monopoly?
No, I just totally checkers. Woo.
Checkers. Awesome.
My dyslexia just flipped in there. I'm like, wait, hold on a second. You said three things. I don't even know what you said.
Go-to ice cream flavor.
You got chocolate, dark chocolate with black raspberry.
Love it.
Mixed.
Love it. Trying to stay healthy. Good deals. So there's a sandwich named the Smeltzer. What's on that sandwich, bro?
You got roast beef, turkey, and lettuce, tomato, cheese, and bacon. No,
I was just going to say, you better mention that man candy, that bacon, brother. You have to be on there. So you have a time machine that you can go to for one day. You can't change a thing, but just to experience. Would you go 20 years forward or 20 years back?
Oh,
just for the experience.
Back.
Okay, very good. It was a kegger back in '89. I'd like to go back and enjoy that night again. So, Clay, any favorite charity organization like to give your time or money to?
I love helping out veterans any way you can, man. You know, that's where they've served us, and it's shame on me if I don't serve them.
No, I appreciate you donating to the Suicide Lifeline Prevention Hotline. You know, it's for a lot of the veterans that I served with, and my little brother took his life. So I really, really appreciate you saying that, man. So last question, and you can elaborate a little bit on this one, but what is the best decade of music? 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s?
Oh, man. 60, can I go earlier?
Yeah.
Dude, 50s rock and roll, man.
Isn't it fun?
Dude, you can't beat it. I was just listening to it today, man. I love, like, you get into the Elvis, you get into, like, you know, all those ones in there, you know, I totally forget a bunch of the names, but I was
Buddy Holly, Big Bopper,
all those ones. You get into all that.
Yeah, dude.
You know, that you cannot deny the enthusiasm, the change, the energy that comes from that. Dude, and it's universal. It's lasting.
It was so pure, and you could understand the words, you know, pretty much all their songs and stuff. And it's funny because I actually have a radio show here in South Florida called South Florida Real Estate Business and Lifestyle. And it's on an oldies station. But what's weird to me is that the oldies music is the 80s on this thing.
Yeah,
but then I remember back when I was a kid, the oldies, and this is like 85, 86 or something like that. The oldies was the 50s. So it's like, that's awesome. You're the first person that ever went back farther. That's phenomenal. Yeah. So, Clay, how can we find you, brother?
You can find me on any social media at Purpose Infused Brotherhood. Just type that into the search things on any we got Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook there. You can go to purposeinfusedbrotherhood.com. You can find out all the information about the programs that we run and the Purpose Infused Brotherhood. And then you can search in any of your podcast platforms, Purpose Infused Brotherhood podcast, and we'll be there for you to listen to and really just collect those tools and acquire those tools for you to be the best version of yourself, for you, your family, your community, your career. And just kick butt every single day. That's what we
love it, man. And like with the podcast, which is absolutely phenomenal, Squad. Is it you and your partner? Is it Toby or who's
John? John's one of our brothers. Yep, John Donos Ellis. Him and I are the co-hosts. I did it by myself for a little bit, and I was getting bored. So John and I jumped on there, but we have right now we have a bunch of different brothers that come on, talk about the different topics, because what we do is we talk every Tuesday and Wednesday. We meet as a Brotherhood squad in there, and we talk about the discussions, and we bring that conversation to the listeners on Thursday. So having some of those guys come in there with their thoughts too is important as well.
Yeah, Squad, it is an absolutely phenomenal listen. They keep you engaged. It's not boring and monotone. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of like listening to this in a sense. So, if you could do me one last solid, Clay, and leave us with one last knowledge nugget we can take with us, internalize, and take action on.
I say the last nugget I always tell people is that you got to answer those two questions. Am I good enough? And do I have what it takes in every single area of your life? You want a yes and yes, and sometimes it won't be both. Sometimes it'll be one, sometimes the other, but it's always moving forward to answer, am I good enough as a man? Am I good enough as a woman? Do I have what it takes as a man? Do I have what it takes as a woman? And to say yes and yes to that in every area of your life.
And squad, this has just been enlightening. It's been fired up. It's been leveled up with my good friend here, Clay. And, with the Brotherhood, they help men reveal and build and live with purpose. He was on a couch, probably watching like a Law and Order, and something got hit with anxiety. Game of Thrones. He's like, what the heck, man? Who is this person sitting on the couch who would come in the bottom of the ninth and strike people up? And I can't handle this. He really kind of believes in being something for others and really nothing and help people that feel nothing for themselves to help those men level up. You drink from the overflow. Keep give until it hurts so good and you'll never be depleted. It reminds us, be selfish to be selfless, which again, selfishness is not a bad word. It's nothing bad about it. That shadow, that mental health shadow that's following you around, Clay can help you lighten up that shadow and make that shadow a partner in your life. He provides space to feel heard, respected, and have the tools to really get you to level up in your life. Your blind spot is your purpose. When you search for purpose, and know that your purpose is searching for you, when that comes together as harmony, it's fantastic. I mean, Clay is planting trees that the dude's never really going to sit in the shade. He's always giving and moving forward, and he's also reminds us, in my analogy, is that the trees with the most fruit bend to the ground. So he's always wanting to help pull people along. He wants you to stop lying to yourself, because when you lie to yourself, you're really lying to everybody else. Be authentic. If you need help, get your asking gear. Let me put you in touch with my good friend Clay to help you level up. And always, kind of answer the question, am I good enough to do it? And do I have what it takes? And if there's a yes, then get after it. And that's what my good friend Clay does. He's earned his varsity squad letter here. Not that he needs another one, but I love your God's brother, man. You level up your health, you level up your wealth, you're humble, yet you're hungry. And I'm blessed to have you on. I cannot wait to collaborate with you in the future, brother.
Absolutely. Appreciate being here, man.
You bet. Chat soon.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to this episode of Time to Shine Today podcast. Proudly brought to you by Sutter and Nugent Real Estate Excellence, who can be reached at 561-249-7266 and online at www.sutterandnugent.com. If you're a business owner or professional who would like to be interviewed on Time to Shine Today, please visit timetoshinetoday.com/guest. If you like this episode, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. There's a link in the show notes to our website. Also there, you will see our recommended resources. We hope that you will support our show by supporting them. If you like what you've been listening to, it'd be great if you could just give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe while you're at it. I'm your host, Scott Ferguson, and until next time, let's level up. It's our time to shine.